Hello everybody, this is Stephen Howson and this is my Everton preview. Manchester United play Everton at Old Trafford tomorrow afternoon, where we look to try and make our stake for getting back into the top four and finishing this horrendous season on a high. Now, that's not going to be an easy task. Everton are a fantastic footballing side, but they've just been unable to string some runs together, and that's why they find themselves a lot lower down in the table than you would expect them to be. A team full of individuals not really playing as a team is how I would describe them, but they've got a lot of threats that are really going to cause us some problems. I think Aaron Lennon, obviously Barkley, obviously Lukaku, but I think even the likes of Barry and Tom Cleverley could cause us some problems because the way they play together as a set midfield. It entirely depends on what side Manchester United put out, and you know what I'm talking about, don't you? You just want to hear me say it, don't you? I'm talking about Fellaini. Fellaini cannot start this game in any way, shape or form whatsoever if we're going to deploy him in the way that we play him. If we want to play him as a number 10 off the striker, then play him as a number 10 off the striker, but do not play him in that midfield too, because that is not where Fellaini needs to be playing. I've just been at the under-16s game this morning. I've literally got back in the last half an hour, so this video is probably going to be going up during today's games, and I think I've got my list over here. So we've got Arsenal playing Watford, we've got City and Bournemouth, and West Ham are at Palace. Now, unfortunately, I think that's probably going to be 3 points for all of the sides around the top four there. There's a chance that one of them's going to slip up, but I would expect at least 2 out of the 3 to be picking wins up there, which put us under pressure. By the time we go into our game tomorrow, we're going to know that we've got to hit 3 points or bust tomorrow. And unfortunately, I think United can do it. Now you're saying, why are you saying unfortunately I think we can do it? Because I think it's another false dawn. I think we're probably going to go and do it, but then we'll drop points next week or the week after or something like that. And I think, I don't know what to think about it, in all honesty. It's so frustrating. I think that if we put our best side out, and I mean our best side, then we are easily capable of doing it. And at home, we have been better than we have been on the road as well. So I would hope that we can go out there and do it. And I don't think Everton are the sort of side that have got the ability to sit deep and defend, which is the sort of side that we've struggled against. I expect Everton are going to come, they're going to try, they're going to counter-attack. And it's just us trying to find a space in between that. Now, I think Marcus Rashford's got a big opportunity tomorrow, because I think another young Englishman has got clangers in him, and that's John Stones. And I think John Stones can be got at and he can be riled up a little bit. And I would put Rashford on John Stones and I'd be like, make it a nuisance. Make yourself a nuisance. Make this a nuisance. So, a very intriguing battle all over the pitch tomorrow. Just the thing that I don't want to see is Fellaini. The thing that I really don't want to see is Fellaini. Lukaku's having a phenomenal season for them. And we spoke about, on the Full-Time Devils preview, about Lukaku going up against someone like Blind. And someone brought up the point, I think it was Gaz, that we actually don't really struggle against the massive guy. They never really managed to isolate Blind with the big, huge guy. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's because we're running around to make sure Blind doesn't get isolated that we neglect other positions. Maybe it's that. I've not really looked into it in great detail. I just thought it was a really good point that I picked up. Yeah, that actually, although we do get terrified that Blind might get isolated against someone like Lukaku, which is just, it's just not fair, is it? to have Blind going up against Lukaku. Maybe the fact that everybody else in the team is hustling around to make sure that doesn't happen, we leave other areas exposed. I reckon that's probably what it is, rather than the fact that big players and other teams aren't using their physical players to try and isolate Daley Blind. Because I'd be very, very shocked if any of the big teams, or the teams that we've come up against with big centre forwards, haven't discussed trying to isolate Daley Blind. Because that's what I'd do. If I was looking at Manchester United and I look at the weaknesses that we've got, I'm going to say, well, in one hand you've got Chris Smalling, who's a very good defender. On the other end, you've got Daley Blind, who's an excellent distributor of the ball, very intelligent, good positioning, but he's slow and he's not very big, and he probably weighs about 9.5 stone. So you can physically bully him, and that's what I would hope a centre forward does. And I don't mean physically bullying him because Lukaku's such a huge human being. I think you could physically bully him with the likes of Rashford. I think if you played Rashford one-on-one against Daley Blind, I think you would cause him nightmares because of the agility that he's got and the speed that he's got running at you. So, a very intriguing game, and one that is, without being a cliche, is an absolute must-win for us. What was the 11 that I would go for? Well, we're going to play 4-2-3-1, aren't we, regardless. Even though maybe I wouldn't mind seeing a 4-3-3 against Everton to try and combat what I actually think is a pretty decent midfield, and an English midfield at that, with Cleverley, Barry and Barkley. But I think we're going to go 4-2-3-1, and obviously it's going to be Spanish Dave in net. I would like to see Varela at right back over Darmian because I think he just offers us that bit more. He's always looking to give and go. He's got a lot of movement. And in a team that we've got at the moment, we haven't got a lot of movement off the ball. And Herrera moves off the ball. And Varela moves off the ball. And I think it can be infectious. Like the way I've said, like the way Riley and Rashford run at people and the way they unsettle people, it can be infectious and it can lift the whole tempo of the team. And I think that's the same with Varela and Herrera. So both of them are starting for me. I also think Varela's got an excellent delivery of his cross, and with someone that can get into the box. That's something we don't get when Wayne Rooney plays. Wayne Rooney does not lead the line like a traditional number 9. He sits in the space in between, and he's not a centre forward in that sense, in that he would lead the line, whereas I think Rashford is. So if you get someone like Varela bombing down that right hand side, creating overlaps with whoever's on the right hand side, and sticking balls into the box, in Rashford you've got a player that's probably 8 times out of 10, 7 times out of 10 going to be there, then all he's got to do is finish him. And we've seen he's got the ability to finish him. Centre-half partnership is probably going to be Blind and Smalling. I'd be tempted, because I still think Blind needs a rest, in all honesty. I'd be tempted to either rest Blind or move him into midfield. And if I rested him, I'd bring Rojo in at centre-half, because I don't think he's the best left-back in the world. He's okay. Especially as cover, he's perfectly adequate as cover. He's just not great there. So I'd move him into centre half. I like the attitude of him. I like the way he plays the game. I like the aggression. Now, with him being caught smoking in the midweek, I don't like that, and that's an attitude thing that I don't like, because there's no excuses there. As a professional athlete, you're talking about fractions of a percent that make the difference in games. And smoking is not going to improve your performance in any way, shape or form. I'd rather him be found for taking steroids than smoking. I really would. Because at least he's trying to improve himself with one. And that leaves us left back. And for the same reason, I want Varela at right back. At left back I want Cameron Borthwick-Jackson. His delivery is absolutely phenomenal. It's far better than what you expect of someone of his age. And the more balls that you put into the box with a player that's actually in the box. I mean, it's a waste of time putting balls into the box for someone like Wayne Rooney, because he's never there. But if you're putting someone like Rashford at number 9, and you've got balls coming in from the left and balls coming in from the right, then that's dangerous. And that's likely to get us goals. Because we are restricted in terms of our triangles and our interplay around the D and around the centre of the box. That's hard for us to break down. So what's your plan B? Your plan B is then going to be shooting from distance. Well, we don't do that either. So what's plan C? Plan C is going to be to cross it. So I would like to have someone with decent crossing ability of a left foot and a right foot. And I think Varela and Cameron Borthwick-Jackson, you get that. And I think defensively they're both pretty sound. Varela can get caught out and he's not as good as Darmian defensively, but he's pretty sound. Now you've got to remember, against Liverpool he got shown up a little bit by Coutinho. It happens, Coutinho's a wonderful footballer. Which leads me to the midfield 2. And the midfield 2, I would like to see Herrera and Schneiderlin, because I think that's probably our best midfield 2. And if it's not them 2, then I could see the arguments we're going with Blind. Now Blind is a lot more defensive, so I can also see the arguments of not going with Blind, because that's probably too defensive. But Blind's actually got a killer pass in him. Blind's got a nice ball over the top, which I think from that midfield position would be something different. He can either spread out to the right, spread out to the left, or stick one over the top. Because Everton are going to come with quite a high line. And Marcus Rashford with his speed, if you've got someone with the ability to put a ball over the top, then Marcus Rashford's going to be a threat. And if you've got balls coming down the side and over the top, then you're in for problems. Which leads us then to the forward 4. Now this I'm really struggling on. If you go with Blind and Schneiderlin, then I think you've got to play Herrera as well. If you put Herrera down as a number 6 or a number 8 alongside Schneiderlin, then I think Mata plays in the middle. But I wouldn't be upset if you tried Jesse Lingard there after what we saw him do the other week, or even Memphis. Memphis off Rashford. That's kind of a bit more where he played for PSV. He didn't really play as an out-and-out winger. He was sort of on the left-hand side of a forward and had a lot more freedom. We received the ball standing still far too much. So I would like to see, and that's why I want to see us crossing the ball and putting balls in over the top, and let's get on the end of balls rather than playing it to feet the way we do, because we're sort of stuck in this rhythm that we can't really shake. So on the left hand side I think it's going to be Martial, and I'm fine with that. I don't want to see him play there forever, but but I think he is quite dangerous coming in and drifting in off the left. His close control is ridiculous for a bloke of his size. So Martial on the left, let him do what he does, and the crosses are going to come in from the overlap with Borthwick Jackson. On the right hand side, because we're not looking to get down the wing, let's go with Mata, and either Memphis or Lingard playing off Rashford and use a bit of pace and running down the middle, because we haven't had anyone dribble in from the middle, and obviously Marcus Rashford up front. And as for the bench, whoever's fit. I wouldn't mind seeing Timothy Fosu-Mensah on there. I think he's looked fantastic, and I think that's a player that we need to nurture before Mourinho comes in. So Mourinho's just told, play this guy, and not given the option that this is a youth player that might be good. We need to give him a few more games before the end of the season, so when Mourinho comes, he's like, yep, I know exactly what you can do. And as for the score, shit, I'll take a 91st minute 1-0 if you're offering it. Stick it in the comments what you think about that starting 11. Stick it in the comments, anything you like, any discussion that you want, and we'll get it done. Tomorrow morning, we're doing the newspaper review before I go to Old Trafford, so look out for that. Falling behind a little bit with the Salford one, just been dead busy over the last couple of days, but I'll try and get that out probably Monday, so there might be 2 uploads of Football Manager games, Championship Manager and Football Manager one on Monday. Obviously all the content on Full Time Devils and my review on this channel as well tomorrow night. So thank you for watching. Hit subscribe if you like what you see. Give us a like. Drop anything you like in the comments. We'll get some discussion going like we always do. And I'll see you soon. Laters.